This is Perth's National 9 News with Sharlyn, Sarac and Mark Reddings.
Chris Judd drops a bombshell on the West Coast Eagles. The superstar skipper wants to go home. Mystery surrounds a little girl police say was deliberately left at a train station. And incredibly, the driver of this drag racer survived. Good evening, thanks for joining us. And Mark, the premiership race is down to 4 in the AFL.
Sharlyn, the Kangaroos are daring to dream after beating Hawthorn. Details later, plus Perth glory and an anxious wait for Wallaby star Stephen Larkham.
But first, in a massive blow to the West Coast Eagles, Chris Judd has confirmed he wants to leave Perth to continue his career in Melbourne. Judd's decision has sparked a frenzy from rival clubs, with a 24-year-old set to be offered one of the most lucrative contracts in football history. After just 6 seasons with the Eagles, many believe Chris Judd is already the club's greatest ever player. As Bob Harnett reports, the champion midfielder collected every major football honour during his time in WA. A warning tonight to check your seatbelts after a 25-year-old woman was thrown from a vehicle and killed in a crash last night despite wearing one. A 41-year-old Rivervale man has been arrested after allegedly ramming a police car in West Leederville following a pursuit. Authorities are no closer to identifying a little girl abandoned at a Melbourne train station. She's now been in care for 36 hours and no one has come forward with any clues. Child welfare officials have dubbed the toddler Pumpkin and believe she may be a visitor from overseas. Martine Alpens reports. A woman has survived a 20-metre fall inside her car after she reversed off a cliff. It happened in Frankston in Victoria overnight when the 25-year-old backed through a wooden safety rail. 2 policemen rushed the unconscious woman to hospital where she was treated for cuts and bruises. An Australian patrol's been targeted in a roadside bomb attack in southern Afghanistan. Members of the Reconstruction Task Force were travelling in a Bushmaster 4-wheel drive when the explosive was detonated. The vehicle was damaged, but no troops were injured. After one of the most tumultuous weeks of his political career, John Howard finally received some good news today. Treasurer Peter Costello has flatly ruled out a leadership challenge before the federal election. Daniel Street has more. The Defence Department says it's not paying for women sailors to have breast enlargements to make them look sexy. Instead, it says some women need bigger breasts to address psychological issues. A Sydney plastic surgeon says he's performed breast jobs on 2 officers, with the bill picked up by the Navy. But the Defence Department says the cosmetic surgery is provided for servicemen or women whose bodies have been disfigured on the job. A drag racer has cheated death, walking away from an horrific smash unscathed. Phil Lamartina was driving at 500 kilometres an hour when his dragster took off and disintegrated mid-air. Phil Wilmington reports. Still to come, why was a 15-year-old behind the wheel in a fatal car crash? Maddie's parents launch a fresh bid to find their little girl. And a former World Rally champion killed in a helicopter crash. A 15-year-old boy was behind the wheel of a car that crashed on the Bruce Highway in Queensland overnight. Police say the vehicle was crammed with young boys. 1 was killed, 2 others had to be cut out of the wreck. They suspect alcohol and speed may have been involved and say some of the passengers weren't wearing seatbelts. The parents of Madeleine McCann have launched a fresh campaign to try to find their daughter, despite being named suspects in her disappearance. The motorsport world has been left devastated with the death of former World Rally champion Colin McRae. The Scot raced regularly in WA and his brother lives in Perth. Adrian Beattie reports. And time now for Sunday Sport with Mark Reddings.
Thanks, Sharlyn. Coming up, more on Chris Judd's shock decision and the premiership race down to 4. The Kangaroos making waves after their semi-final win. And the Matildas on target at the Women's World Cup.
It's 1-1. What a goal!
As we told you earlier, Chris Judd has stunned the Eagles, confirming he's quitting the club to continue his career in Melbourne. With a grand final spot just one win away, the Kangaroos say they're far from satisfied after beating Hawthorn in last night's semi-final. But as Chris Jones explains, they did take time out today to reflect on their efforts this season. Subiaco's dream of back-to-back premierships in the WAFL is alive after thumping South Fremantle in today's preliminary final. The Lions set up a grand final clash with Claremont next Sunday, scoring a crushing 95-point win. Wallaby fly half Stephen Larkham will know tomorrow whether his World Cup and international career are over when he undergoes knee surgery. His replacement, Berwick Barnes, was a standout in last night's 12-point win over Wales. Chris Hodgkinson reports. With Perth Glory still chasing their first win in the new A-League season, at half-time in their match against the Queensland Roar, it was 1 goal all. In the V8 Supercars, Holden's Rick Kelly has regained the championship lead after finishing second in the Sandown Endurance event. Here's Bob Harnett. Finally, congratulations to the Perth Wheelcats who've won the National Wheelchair Basketball title. And don't forget our coverage of Australia versus Bangladesh at the World 2020 Championships begins at 8:30 tonight. Sharlyn.
What a mouthful. Thanks, Mark. The week's weather forecast is next. Then Aussie couples set a new world record, all in the name of love.
Fuel Watch, tomorrow's cheapest petrol prices.
It turned out to be a great day in the city and there's a wet week ahead. And love was in the air in Sydney today, where hundreds of Aussie couples were attempting to break the world record for the number of people renewing their vows at the same time. And they did it with a mass I do.
The number of people who have been remarried today is 278, so it is a new Guinness World Record.
It's a pity Chris Judd and the Eagles are getting a divorce. That's the news to the moment. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great evening. Good night.
Good night.
He's had a great 6 years. He loves the Eagles. He thinks they're the best footy club in Australia, and it's been a difficult decision. But you know, in his heart of hearts, I don't think there's anything specific other than just his time's up, and he's going to leave with a heavy heart. But the decision's final.